Housing is perhaps the most central element in any economy. Not only is a house the single most expensive item most people will purchase, the purchase of a home generates the most indirect spending. Not only does it create a need for furniture and fittings, but the purchase of a family home generates a constant need for maintenance and service providers. Family is arguably best experienced in a family home. The activities of being a family and the things that make it possible to enjoy family activities need the security of a family home. We need a place to store the kids' toys, the snowmobile and boat and all the other recreational accoutrements that go with fully enjoying one's family time. Possession of a home is a good indicator of the economic health of a nation. Not only is the ability to purchase and outfit and maintain a home a good indicator of economic stability, it is a good indicator that people hold a positive view of the future. Buying a home is not likely to happen if the person thinks the future is bleak. Generally, buying a home suggests a positive outlook on the economy and one's own personal prospects family-wise. When the economy is strong and things going well, the average home buyer could either build his own home or buy one on the open market. As things got harder, mortgages got amortized over longer periods and down payments were reduced in size, as a percent of the total cost. But it has become obvious that the housing sector seems beyond help. Governments tinker with interest rates and amortization schedules, but nothing fundamental changes. As a consequence, the market gets tighter, and home ownership is put out of reach of more and more people in more demographics. Enter the idea of the tiny house. While the idea of small domiciles is hardly new, the most famous small house advocate being Henry David Thoreau, and he made his name by living in a 150-square home on Walden Pond, 1854, the modern trend came in 2009, with the rise in foreclosures. There have been many attempts to generate interest in this option since then. In 2014, the small town of Spur offered hundreds of vacant lots and a flexible zoning code. 61 lots have sold since then. The less than spectacular results of the various attempts can be attributed to several factors. The size of the homes may be a problem, but this would be less relevant if they could be offered as an investment. Conventional homes are considered a good investment as they increase in price over time. Integrating the small house into the wider economy would make them more attractive. However, for the destitute, a $5,000 price tag is hardly less onerous than a $5 million one. Housing the homeless believes a more comprehensive approach is required, one that makes no assumptions about the people involved, but meets people where they are at. Conventional programs start with assumptions about clients and work off of these. We are trying to help people, not sell to them. Conventional programs create a platform to see who can reach it. The administrators of these programs ask their clients if they reach the standards laid out by the program. The target group of the Housing the Homeless program is the homeless. Homelessness ought to be the only criteria for help, otherwise we get bogged down in the details of administration. If a person is homeless, then he or she has met the criteria established by Housing the Homeless program and is eligible for help. To make such a program doable means breaking new ground. However, we have to be realists. There is no funding available for such a broad-based initiative. This does not mean such initiatives are still born from inception. Housing the homeless is not just about the walls and room of a domicile. Even if unlimited funds were available using interest-bearing sources, this ought not be the route to take. If we are going to find housing for the homeless, it should be a program that links seamlessly with broader society. We do not want to set people up in housing that isolates them from society. Housing the Homeless, as a program, does not believe the housing problem is necessarily solved because we put the persons into a shelter. Housing the Homeless is not a program that considers the problem purely from the physical angle of people being without a physical shelter. Our approach is not divorced from the market. We adapt the market to the situation. We take the housing market and extend it into where the client base is. If the bottom tier of the housing market is a $150,000 home, we want to extend the market downward. We want the market to work for the poor as well as for the rich. There needs to be a sector of the market where a tiny domicile can be purchased for under $10,000. To achieve this level of reach, we need a new approach. The free market in effect, must be made more responsive and reflective of areas in which demand is less high but still significant. We call this Youtopian exchange. A Youtopian exchange is designed to make home ownership a choice, especially for the youth, regardless of present economic situation. Being unemployed and living out on the street cannot be a barrier to home ownership. If it is, there is something wrong with the market, as constructed. Youtopian exchanges upgrades the free market to make it more responsive to a wider range of circumstances. Needless to say, we do not wish to put ourselves in the situation of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and simply create unpayable debt for the indigent. Exchanges are a consortium of all stakeholders. Youtopian exchanges are capitalized by governments, individuals, businesses and grant-dispersing agencies. However, this is a good way to seed an initiative. But no matter how generous the donations or how good-hearted well-wishers are, these kinds of initiatives soon run out of money. Nothing is easier to do than spend money, and no program that is expected to survive for very long can be based on people spending money. The second step after raising capital is to acquire a parcel of land. This land is serviced and is adjacent to an urban area. The space is divided into lots. Each lot scaled to enable a tiny house to be erected with space for gardens and workshops. These lots are sold to homeless persons using a local currency called prefers. A commercial core is at the center of the project with room to conduct a business. Businesses are started in the way settlers built new towns when the West opened up. Homes are erected, and the lots prepared by the company started by the homeless. Homes are built using any combination of professional builders, sweat equity, and labor hired by the local development companies. Youtopian exchanges use a local currency called the prefer. Prefers have no intrinsic value, they function solely as a bookkeeping device to track accounts in real time. Money is a quantified way to track debits and credits using a unit of value. In a utopian economy, everything is paid for with cash. There are no volunteers permitted, no labor goes unpaid. People who work and create value are paid for their time. Money is of little use without a market, however. The more complex the market, the better the program works. This is why the program is initiated and administrated through local businesses. This is why the first step in the program is the creation of a high street or business area. The start of a business and its successful operation precede the right to acquire the financing for a new home. Those who do not demonstrate the ability to create and operate a business or acquire employment, remain renters. The development is registered as a charitable not-for-profit organization. Citizens are given a share and a vote in the organization upon starting and operating a business for a given period of time or holding down a job for a given period of time. The community is operated by a general council. Each block is represented by a chairperson who holds a seat on the general council to voice any concerns of those whom he or she represents. The general council votes for a chairperson, he or she conducts proceedings. To summarize, the program is capitalized, and a sizable plot of land is acquired from a local town or municipality. The area is surveyed and a commercial area established. Local businesses are established to provide the goods and services a new settlement need. Special attention is paid to the work of building the community. As much as is feasible, this is done by local builders and labor. A local currency is created issued on the basis of work done. The currency is called a prefer, which is a contraction of preferred shares. The shares are issued according to the equity created by the value added to the assets of the corporation by the work of its citizens. Creditworthy citizens can borrow prefers to purchase homes on the development, as can reliable workers. These loans are paid off through working for the program in one of the businesses that occupy the high street. In this way, participants are taught a trade, learn how to run a business and can work and buy their own home based on their creditworthiness. All scaled to their position in the market.